Development Pharmaceuticals in association with Higher Secondary Principals Forum.
Hello students, warm welcome to the class of Business Studies. Today's class will be talking about the second part of the principles of management, that is scientific management. Before we go ahead, let's go back and let's try to see what we have done in the previous session of the principles of management. Well, I remember that we have spoken about the principles of management. I have told you that the principles of management are the statements of the fundamental truth which provide guidelines for management decisions and management actions. It is also said that the principles of management influences the managerial behavior and managerial actions. We have also said that the principles are developed and derived through deep observation, repeated experiments, and personal experiences. So when we are talking about the principles of management never provide ready-made solutions to the managers. They never provide concrete solutions to the managers. Instead, they help managers to take the decisions. They provide basis to the managers to take managerial decisions and managerial actions. So here, principles of management, that is the guidelines, are acting as a base for taking the management decisions and actions, which is very important in the management for improving the managerial effectiveness and managerial efficiency. Then in the first part we have discussed about the nature and the significance of the principles of management, which means why principles of management should be there in the management, why these guidelines should be there in the management. Then we spoke about the actual principles of the general management, that is 14 principles of Henry Fayol, and how he has helped, how these principles help in improving the efficiency of the management. And today, in today's class, we will talk about the second part of the principles of management, and that is Frederick Winslow Taylor's scientific management. F.W. Taylor's scientific management. Frederick Winslow Taylor was born in USA on 20th of March 1856 and died on 21st of March 1950. He was a mining engineer, he was a mechanical engineer, and he made an attempt to improve the industrial efficiency, to make the optimum utilization of the resources, to make the maximum use of the material and the human resources available with the industries. Scientific management means applying science in each and every element of the management. It means applying science in each and every element of the management, using scientific approach, using scientific analysis in each and every element of the management, and knowing exactly what you want your men to do, and seeing that they do it in the best manner and in the cheapest way. That is the main purpose of the scientific management. Here in the science, the main purpose is what you want your man to do, what your man is capable of doing, what you have instructed your man to do in the management, and seeing that he do it in the best possible manner, and seeing that he do it in the cheapest manner, in the cheapest way. That is the main objective, main purpose of the scientific management. The first principle of scientific management is science, not rule of thumb, which means according to the Frederick Taylor, he speaks about the science and not rule of thumb, which means according to him, every job in the organization should be performed on the basis of the scientific analysis, should be performed on the basis of the scientific approach and not on the basis of the intuitions of the managers, not on the basis of the sixth sense of the managers or the wills and the wishes of the managers, or on the basis of the rule of thumb, or on the basis of the hit and miss method. Frederick Taylor says, when you are doing any job in an organization, there should be a strong reason why you are doing a particular activity. There should be thinking before doing, which you don't find in rule of thumb. Rule of thumb means the dictatorship of the manager. Whatever manager says, it has to happen. Whatever manager is expressing, it should happen accordingly. And Frederick Taylor says, it should not happen. A particular decision should be taken because it is right, because it is scientifically correct, and that's why a particular decision should be taken in the management. If, say, for example, if the manager is saying a particular method for carrying out a particular job is right, then this is called as a rule of thumb. And rule of thumb is always done on the basis of the past experiences of the managers, and which might not be always correct. It might not be always right. So because of that, Frederick Taylor says, use science in the management. Use scientific approach in the management. You have to make a scientific analysis in order to do every job in an organization, and then only you will get the perfect results, you will get efficiency, you will get effectiveness in the management. So that is the science, not rule of thumb. Application of the scientific approach, not rule of thumb. Application of the science, not hit and miss methods. Now today we try this. If that does not work, we try something else. If that does not work, we'll try something else. This type of the approach should not be there in the management. It will be only waste of energy. It will be the waste of time and waste of the resources that belongs to the organization. That's why Frederick Taylor insists on the science and not rule of thumb. The second principle of the scientific management is harmony, not discord, which means Frederick Taylor talks about the harmony among the employees and the management. Give and take among the employees and the management. Mutual understanding among the employees and the management. There is always differences between the management and the employees. Frederick Taylor talks about the mental revolution. He says the mindset of the people should be changed positively. Attitude of the people, attitude of the management and the workers should change positively for the betterment of the organization. Many times, employees feel that management is underpaying the employees. Management is not giving respect to the employees. Management is not concerned about the welfare of the employees. And the management feels that workers are following the go slow policy. Workers are always grumbling for doing the work. Workers are damaging the machineries. And because of this feeling with each other, gap between the management and the employees gets widened. Frederick Taylor talks about the mental revolution. Frederick Taylor says that there should be positive attitude towards each other. There should be positive outlook towards each other. They have to understand the feelings of each other. They have to see that both of them are important for an organization. No employer can continuously prosper unless and until there is a prosperity in the employees of the organization. An employer can prosper, employer can grow only when the employee of the organization is prospering, only when the employee of the organization is growing. Employee alone cannot prosper, and that's why employee has to give an importance to the growth of the employees. Employer has to give an importance to the prosperity of the employees. That talks about harmony, not discord. There should not be discord between the management and the employees. There should be a harmonious relationship. There should be proper give and take. There should be mutual understanding between the workers, employees, and the management. This is what Frederick Taylor speaks about. The next principle that he has suggested is about the cooperation, not individualism. According to him, he speaks about the cooperation, not individualism, which means Frederick Taylor talks about cooperation between the employees and the management. This principle is an extension of the harmony, not discord. In this principle, Frederick Taylor insists on cooperation between the employees and the management instead of competition between the employees and the management. He says if there is a better understanding, if there is a proper coordination and cooperation among the employees and the management, the results are always good. Employees should be given due importance in an organization. The suggestions, recommendations of the employees should be taken while setting targets to the employees, while setting goals to the employees. And when employees are involved in setting the goals, when employees are involved in setting the targets, they feel it's my responsibility to achieve this particular goal. And that's why they try to put in maximum. They try to contribute maximum so that they get best from the organization. They get best from the employees of the organization. And that's why there has to be always cooperation among the employees and the management. Management should always give respect to the employees, and employees should always respect management for cooperation, for better coordination, and for achieving the goals of the organization. The next principle, according to Frederick Taylor, is development of workers. It is always said that employees' development is very, very important. The prosperity of the employees is very, very important. The growth of the employee is very, very important. Because it is a right of every individual employee to grow high in their life. Nobody can stop you from growing in your life. It is your right, it is your birthright to grow high in your life. And because of that, if the efficiency of the organization should increase, then the efficiency of the employees should increase. And in order to increase the efficiency of the organization, it depends upon the methods of selection of the employees. And the Frederick Taylor says that there should be scientific methods of employing the employees. While selecting the employees, you have to conduct the different tests which are required to be conducted in order to employ the best of the employees out of the number of candidates available to you. And because of that, proper training should be provided to the employees before joining the job. The duties should be assigned to them according to their capabilities, according to their expertise. Proper training should be given while they are working in an organization which is called as the in-service training courses in form of the refresher courses, which will going to update their knowledge, which will help them to know what is latest things happening in the market, what they have to learn more, what is the new technology that has come in, and that will help them to grow high in their life, which will help them to learn more from the market, to learn more about the new technology from the market, update their knowledge about the field in which they are working. And that's why development of the workers is very, very important. And it is the responsibility of the management. Management from time to time should conduct development courses like refresher courses, training courses to update their knowledge so that they learn more. They update their knowledge. They try to understand more about the new techniques and the technology available in the market, and that helps them to develop their confidence. That helps them to boost their confidence, and they can handle any type of the assignments, any type of the difficult jobs they can easily handle and can get the best results from the work that they are rendering to the organization. So that talks about the development of the workers. So these are scientific principles of the management. When Frederick Taylor is talking about his contribution in the management. He talks more about the workers. Henry Fayol has considered top-level management while designing the principles. But Frederick Taylor has considered workers while designing the principles of the management, while designing the scientific principles of the management. So his concentration is workers. Workers are more important, and he has made study more and more on the workers of the factories. So these are his principles of management. Now we'll talk about the techniques of the scientific management, the techniques that is given by the Henry Fayol, the research that he has made during his working period, and he has developed certain techniques of the management. He has designed certain techniques of the management. So when we are talking about the techniques, these are the techniques of working in the management. These are the techniques of getting better results in the management. These are the techniques of doing work in a perfect manner. And that's why Frederick Taylor has spoken about the different techniques. He has developed many techniques which will help the management and the managers to get best of the results. So let's talk about these techniques of scientific management. The first technique that he has spoken is about the functional foremanship. Now when he's talking about the functional foremanship, he talks about the specialization to the supervisors. He talks about the specialization of the supervisors who are getting the work done in the factories. When we want a particular foreman, or what we want a foreman to do is, we always want a foreman should be an educated person. A foreman should be a patient person. A foreman should be an intelligent person. Foreman should have all those good qualities in him. But unfortunately, we can't get all good qualities in one person. And because of that, Frederick Taylor has divided, or he has considered many of the foremen, many of the supervisors, and he has given a very specific and a special job to one supervisor, one foreman who is good in doing that particular work. So in this technique, he has used a simple way of doing the work, and that is the functional foremanship. So what he has done in this technique is, in a factory he has divided into the two departments. He has divided factory into the two departments, that is planning department and the production department. He has a planning in charge for the planning department and production in charge for the production department. So what he has done in this particular technique is, in planning department, he has specified certain foremen who are involved in doing very specific type of the job. And planning department is involved in only planning the activities which the workers from the production department will work accordingly. Workers don't have to bother to plan the activities. Workers don't have to think of what they have to do, how they have to do, how they should follow the steps, what is the sequence of the operation they should follow, what is the cost required to complete a particular job. They are not at all bothered about it. Workers have to just follow the guidelines, the instructions given by the planning department, and they have to just work to get the efficiency of the job. So here what Frederick Taylor has done, he has appointed certain supervisors, certain foremen who are involved in doing a very specific type of the job in which they are good at. And that's why this functional foreman is an extension of the division of work. It is an extension of the specialization. Here he has concentrated more on the specialization. How an individual can be expert in doing a particular job in which he is good at, where he can have the better expertise, where he can perform his work in the best possible manner. So what he has done in a planning department, a department which is supposed to only plan the activities of the production department, he is having 4 foremen here. That is, one is an instruction card clerk, he has a route clerk, he has a time and cost clerk, and a disciplinarian. These are the 4 foremen he has appointed in the planning department. Now, what is the duty, what is the role of the instruction card clerk? Instruction card clerk is responsible for drafting the instructions and the guidelines required to perform a particular job. Because whenever you are doing a particular job, you require some guidelines. You always require some instructions. So what is instruction card clerk is doing? Instruction card clerk is preparing all those instructions. He's drafting all those instructions. He's drafting all those guidelines which are required for a particular worker to perform his job. And with the help of these guidelines, he can easily do his job. So he don't have to think. He don't have to find out the guidelines. So guidelines are already ready. So these guidelines are prepared by the instruction card clerk. These instructions are prepared by the instruction card clerk, and which is followed by the workers from the production department to complete their jobs successfully. Now you may require guidelines while using the machineries. Now how to start the machinery? After starting the machinery, what is next to be done? These guidelines are required. So for starting the machinery or using the machinery, you require guidelines. Using the different tools, you require guidelines. Using the different technology, you require guidelines. So these guidelines are prepared by the instruction card clerk. This is just drafting the guidelines. Next thing is route clerk. Route clerk is responsible for preparing the sequence of the performance, steps required to perform the jobs, which will be the first step. Now say for example, if there is a carpenter doing his work, carpenter requires the steps. What is to be done first? What is to be done second? What is to be done third? What is to be done fourth? You know, these steps are required. These steps are prepared, drafted, written down by the route clerk. Say for example, if the carpenter has to maybe, make one table. Now for making the table, what is the first thing to be done? First thing, you will have to cut the wood. Second thing is polishing the wood. Getting it ready. Third thing is assembling it. So this way, the steps are being prepared, written down, drafted there. So the carpenter, while he starts working, he has to just follow the steps and start working. He don't have to think about it. How to start, when to start, which is to be done first, which is to be done second. It is already ready with him. So that is a role of the route clerk. Next is a time and the cost clerk. He talks about the time and the cost clerk. Now there is another foreman who decides the timetable of the work. How much of time you require to make a table. It has been decided already by another person who is called as a time clerk. When to start the work, when to finish the work. What is the time limit, time slot you require to do that particular job? Already decided. You cannot say, no, you cannot complete this job. No, here it has been proved already. It has already been practiced, it has already been seen, observed, and decided to make one table you require 8 hours. That's it. You cannot say, no, you cannot do it in 8 hours, you require 15 hours. You cannot say that. Already the timetable is prepared by one person who is called as a time clerk. How much of time you require to complete a particular job? It has been written down by the time clerk. Another one is a cost clerk. Cost clerk decide the amount of cost you require to complete a particular job. Amount of the material cost and amount of the labor cost. What is the total cost you require to complete that particular job? Already decided by the planning department of the factory. So that is the role of the cost clerk. Then comes the disciplinarian. Disciplinarian plans about the disciplinary rules, disciplinary actions to be taken for the indiscipline of any of the worker working in the production department. So he speaks about the disciplinary rules because it is very important. If you want efficiency, if you want good results in your organization, discipline is very, very important. If you don't follow punctuality, you will not able to complete your job. If you are not sincere, you will not able to complete your job. If you are not carrying out the orders of your superior, instructions of your superiors, you will not able to complete your job. So discipline comes first. If you are not following the discipline, you will not able to complete your job on time. Neither you will get an efficiency in the work that you do. So because of that, framing the disciplinary rules is again very important. Framing the disciplinary actions, if the employee is indisciplined in a particular way, that has to be decided in advance. Punishments, if to be given to any of the employee for not listening to the orders and the instructions of the superior, has to be decided in advance, which is the responsibility of the disciplinarian, another foreman. So all these 4 foremen who are in the planning department, they are only planning the activities to be done by the production department. They are only drafting the rules, they are only drafting the instruction, they are only drafting the timetable. They are deciding in advance about the cost required to complete a particular job. They are deciding about the disciplinary actions to be taken if any of the employees is indisciplined. It is done in the planning department of the organization. Now planning is done. Putting down the rules and regulations, everything that is done. Now comes actual work in the factory. And that is done by the production department. This is done by the production department, another department of the factory. So according to Frederick Taylor, there are again 4 bosses, 4 supervisors in the production department. That is a speed boss, gang boss, repair boss, and an inspector. Now what is the specialization of these bosses? What is the specialization of these supervisors that we have to study? Speed boss sees about the speed of the work of an employee while performing a particular job. Because it is very important, time clerk has already prepared a timetable, the amount of work that you should take to complete a particular work. If you are not following the right speed, then you will not able to complete your job on time. Means you are not following the instructions given by the time clerk, and because of that, this supervisor will see whether the workers are following the right speed of doing their job or not, and whether they will be able to complete the job on time or not. This is the responsibility of the speed boss, to complete the job on time, to see that the workers are doing their work in a particular speed so that there is no delay in completion of the work. Second talks about the gang boss. Gang boss or a gang supervisor we talk about. He is responsible for assembling the machineries, tools and the equipments required to carry out the job. Because when you are doing a particular job, you require a particular machinery, you require particular tools, you require particular equipments without which you cannot carry out your job. Assembling them, getting them together, making the arrangement of it, it is the responsibility of gang boss. He does it. He sees that everything is ready for starting the work. He sees that the machineries are there, tools are there, equipments are there, and whatever required for a worker to start the job and complete the job on time is all made available by the gang boss. Next comes the repair boss. Repair boss or the repair supervisor sees that the machineries are kept in a working condition to complete the job on time. That is the responsibility of the repair boss. He sees that from time to time, maintenance of the machineries is done. Maintenance of the equipments are done. The greasing of the machinery is done. Cleaning of the machinery is done. Repairing of the machinery is done, so that they remain in a working condition. And the work of the organization gets completed on time. And finally comes the inspector. Inspector is responsible for the quality of the production, because it is very important that in an organization, quality standard has to be maintained. You have to maintain the quality of the product. You do all these things, and finally, quality of the production is not seen. There is no quality for your product. Your product may not be sold out in the market. So because of that, quality of what you have done, quality of the work that you have done is again very important, and that's a responsibility of the inspector. Another supervisor from the production department, he sees about the quality of the product. He sees about the standard of the product, whether the standard has been maintained according to the pre-decided standard or not. So this is what happens. And finally, all of them, they gets connected with the workers. Everybody gets connected with the workers. This is called as functional foremanship. So he has divided the factory on the basis of the functions. Like every foreman is performing a very special type of the function. Here there is a specialization practiced here. Division of work has been practiced here. And on the basis of the function, the different foremen, different supervisors are given different responsibilities. And because of that, according to this particular technique, you can easily achieve goals of the organization, efficiency of the organization, effectiveness in the organization. We'll move on to another second technique of the management, which is called as a method study. This is one of the type of the work study. Method study is one of the type of the work study. According to this particular technique, Frederick Taylor talks about having one best method to perform the jobs in the organization. One best method to perform the job in the organization is very, very important. Now, while selecting the method, you should not go on the rule of thumb. You should not go on the intuitions. You should not go on the sixth senses or the bias ways. It has to be always based on the scientific approach. Frederick Taylor talks about while selecting a particular method, don't go on the rule of thumb. Instead, he says, try out many methods. Check many methods. Study the positive and the negative points of every method that you require to study. And then select one best method. One best method depend upon the maximum positive points and minimum negative points. So he says, one best method is required to perform the job in the organization if you want best efficiency, if you want best effectiveness in an organization, if you want to improve the efficiency in the organization. But for selecting the method, you cannot go on the blind faith. You cannot go on the wills and the wishes of the managers. You have to take many methods, study them well, try them in the different conditions with the different people, and then select one best method that is most convenient to you by having the maximum positive points and the minimum negative points. That is called as a method study. He says, never go on the blind faith. Instead, you try out the methods and select one best method. Next comes is about another work study is a motion study. He talks about the motion study. Now, according to Frederick Taylor, he says, in this particular study or in this particular technique, you need to observe and note down the different motions, different movements of the employees like shifting, standing, sitting, moving, pushing, and study their movements. So note down these movements and try to find out which are necessary movements, which are not necessary movements, which are productive movements, which are non-productive movements, and try to eliminate all those unproductive movements, try to eliminate all those unnecessary movements which is just wasting the energy and which may not help to increase your efficiency. So he says, in the motion study, you have to study all these motions which are very important. He says, you have to study which are important. Productive motions is one motion that you have to study. There is unproductive motion you have to study. You have to see incidental motion. There are sometimes, according to the incident, you have to do the motion, which you cannot determine earlier. And he says, eliminate all those unproductive motion. Eliminate all those unnecessary motions that you don't require to work in the work process. and only keep those motions which you require to perform while you are performing a job. You will always get the better results. So that talks about the motion study. Another study, another work study that it talks about is a time study. He talks about the time study. Time study speaks about the standard time required to complete a particular job. Now, how to decide a standard time? Frederick Taylor says, you observe an average employees while they are performing their job. Observe average employees with the help of the stopwatch and then decide what is the standard time required to complete a particular job. So, for example, you allot a common job to 10 employees. The starting time you decide, and then you allow them to work on that particular job. You find out of 10, 8 are completing that job in 5 hours. 2 are completing the same job in 4 hours. And 1 is completing the job in 6 hours. So what is the standard time you require to complete that particular job? It is 5 hours because the maximum employees have completed that job in 5 hours. Maybe 2 have completed it earlier in less time, but you cannot consider that as an average timing. And here you have to decide this standard time required to complete a particular job. And whenever in future when you are allotting the same job to more people, you have already decided the standard time. So the one who completes the job before the standard time is an efficient employee. The one or those employees who cannot complete it within the standard time or within that particular time which is considered as a standard time, they are called as inefficient employees. So here time study is very, very important. It is very necessary that you decide the standard time. Otherwise, you will not able to find out who is an efficient employee and who is an inefficient employee unless and until you decide standard time for completing a particular job. So Frederick Taylor speaks about deciding a standard time to complete the job, and then only you can decide who is an efficient employee and who is an inefficient employee. So that is another work study that he is speaking about, that is a time study. Next we'll talk about is a fatigue study. And according to the Frederick Taylor, he says there is need to know the frequency of rest intervals, number of rest intervals, and the duration of the rest interval a person, an employee requires when he is continuously working for a long period of time, because this is must when you are mentally and physically tired. So what according to him, he says fatigue study is done in order to know the frequency of the rest intervals. If your working hours are 8 hours, in those 8 hours, how many number of times you require to take the rest? Duration of the rest intervals means when you are taking the rest, how long you should take the rest. And this is very important. Number of rest intervals also is very important, because this is must. Taking the rest when you are working for long number of hours is very important, because you tend to get mentally and physically tired. Everybody gets, every human being gets tired, because when you are getting tired, the reason could be, one could be when you are working for long hours, when the working conditions are bad, you are working in a bad working conditions. So for example, there is too much of heat and you are working in the heat. So you will not able to work for long hours, you tend to get tired very fast. Sometimes you are performing unsuitable job, the job that you are not supposed to do, the job which is very confusing, the job which is not allowing to work properly, in that you get irritated and you get mentally tired. So these are the reasons you tend to get tired. So in this case, he says you have to make the study of this. You have to find out the frequency of rest intervals. You have to find out the number of the rest intervals. How many times you have to take the rest, and duration of the rest intervals, because this is must. If you don't take the rest, then you will not able to work for long hours. So in order to regain the energy, in order to regain the stamina, it is must that you take the rest for a particular period of time, and then you start again, you start working again so that you get that full energy. You can work with the full stamina and your results are always good. So he says, make the study of this. Don't just tell the employees to work continuously for a long number of hours. There is a need of rest intervals in between the working hours. Duration of the rest intervals should be studied. The number of the rest intervals should be studied. And employees should be allowed to take the rest according to what study you have made, so that they regain the energy and work very hard in an organization to improve the results. So that talks about the fatigue study. Next is about standardization and simplification. It talks about standardization and simplification. So this is again very important in an organization. Frederick Taylor talks about the standardization in the business operations. He says that there should be a standard when you are performing any business operation. You should not be doing any business operation just for the sake of doing it, or you should not be doing any business operation substandard. It should be always standard. And when you are talking about the standard output, when you are talking about the standard product, the standardization should be started right from the beginning. Now for standard in selection of the machinery, standard in selection of the tools, standard in selection of the technology. And you should not concentrate only on the quality standard of the product, but along with that, standard in size of the product, standard in shape of the product, standard in pattern of the product, standard in package of the product. So that will give goodwill to your product. That will give reputation to your product in the market. So because of that, he says, follow standard. Don't follow only the quality standard, but standard in everything. It should be, the good thing that you are producing. Size should be standard. Once you produce a bigger size, second time what you are producing comes small, is shrinking. Third time the size, the pattern has changed. That will not give you reputation in the market. So he says, follow standard in quality, follow standard in the process of production, follow standard in the size of the product, shape of the product, pattern of the product, prices of the product, follow standardization. That is what Frederick Taylor talks about. Next, he speaks about the simplification. So here in the simplification, he says, simplify your procedure of production. He is saying, eliminate unnecessary variety of products and concentrate on only few products in which you are good at. Concentrate only on the few products. Instead of going for 100 different products under the same brand, under one company, he says, concentrate only on few products where you can concentrate on that to improve the quality. You can provide better fineness to the product. You can provide better quality to the product. You can provide better satisfaction to the product, to the consumers. So that is why concentrate on very few products instead of going for variety of products, so that you can provide maximum satisfaction to the consumer. There are many companies which have been succeeded in doing this. Take example of Nokia. It is involved in the manufacturing and the distribution of only one product for years together. Microsoft, not going for many products. Instead of concentrating on so many products, you can concentrate on only one product and provide better fineness, provide better quality, give better satisfaction to the consumers. So he is saying, eliminate unnecessary variety of goods and instead concentrate on only few products or few goods which can actually create your reputation in the market. That is simplification of process. So this is about standardization and simplification. The next thing he talks about is a differential piece rate system. This talks about, or this particular technique emphasizes on paying high salaries to the efficient workers and low salaries to the inefficient workers. Which means people who are hardworking, people who are doing well, people whose results are better are always paid higher than the people who are not doing well, whose results are not good, who are producing less units are paid less. Always the efficient people are paid more. When extra is paid to the efficient workers, inefficient workers get motivated to come to the level of the efficient workers because they are getting less, because they are not performing like the efficient workers. The efficient workers also get motivated when the efficient workers are producing more than the inefficient workers. It means it is maximizing the scale of production. Your production is also more because there are some people who are producing more than the standard target. If your standard target, you are supposed to produce maybe 200 products, 200 units in 8 hours of your duty. This is a standard target that you are supposed to produce. Now some people produces 240 products, units. Some employees are producing only 150 units. Now those people, those employees who are producing more than the standard target, they are called as the efficient employees. If the standard target is 200, some are producing 240 units in the regular working hours. There are some who are producing less than 200, maybe producing only 150, less than the standard target. They are called as inefficient workers. So naturally they will be paid less than those who are producing more, those who are putting extra efforts, those who are contributing more to the organization. This is called as differential Pete's rate system. And he says whenever you are following this particular method and the inefficient workers are getting less, they are suffering loss. And Frederick Taylor says loss is the best motivator for the employees. When you are losing something, when you are suffering loss, you come to know, I'm suffering loss, I'm losing something because I'm not working hard. And that motivates you to work hard. That induces you to contribute more, and that always leads to the better performance. So that is differential Pete's rate system. Next comes is a mental revolution. This is again another technique which is very important in the scientific management. Frederick Taylor talks about the mental revolution. He talks about the change in the mindset of the people, change in the mental outlook of the people, change in the attitude of the people towards each other, and that is called as mental revolution. So Frederick Taylor here says, he says, managers or the management always feels that workers are not working. Workers are going on the slow down policies. Workers are spoiling the machineries, not using the equipments properly. On the contrary, workers are feeling that management is overburdening them. Management is suspicious about them. Management is not paying them well. They are always underpaid. And because of that, that suspicious attitude of both of them, that leads to widening the gap between the management and the workers. And that can create a problem for the success of the organization. So Frederick Taylor says that if you want better performance, because in the organizations, management should consider employees are important for the organization, and employees should also feel that management also is equally important for the success of the organization. And because of that, they should have a positive outlook. They should have positive attitude towards each other. The mindset, the attitude of the people should change towards each other, and that will help them to have better feeling, better understanding towards each other, and that will lead to the growth of the organization. That will lead to the prosperity of the organization, because employees cannot work without the managers and managers cannot work without the employees. Both are dependent on each other. And if they really dependent on each other, if they have faith, trust on each other, you can easily achieve the goals of the organization. You can easily think about the prosperity of the organization. So here, Frederick Taylor, as I said, he has concentrated more on the workers. He has made more study on the worker instead of the top level management. And all these techniques that he has suggested right from the functional foremanship, then the time study, method study, fatigue study, he has spoken about the differential piece wage rate system, mental revolution. All these techniques are very important for improving the efficiency of the organization. In order to get better results for the growth of the employees in the organization, and that can always help an organization to perform well. Whatever type of the organization it is, as I have said earlier, it might be profit-oriented organization or a non-profit-oriented organization. It might be a large organization or a small organization. It might be the manufacturing company or a trading company. You require this scientific management. You require scientific approach. You require scientific analysis. You require strong reason why you are doing a particular thing. It is very, very important. So there are two experts in the management who has given their recommendation, who has given and made research on the management and given their guidelines. So we need to follow these guidelines in the management for a better performance, for a better results. Okay, and here we have come to the end of the principles of management. Students, to end, let me tell you, this particular lesson carries 6 marks from the public examination point of view, from the board examination point of view. You may be asked questions from the general principles of management, because on that specific questions are asked, so you need to study all 14 principles. Question may be also asked on the scientific principles of the management. Again, you'll have to study all 4 principles. And again, when it is asked on the techniques of the scientific management, one question could be asked only on the functional foremanship. It can be asked for 4 marks or 3 marks depending upon how it is asked. And separate question could be asked on the other techniques of the scientific management. So you need to follow this platform to study, okay, and to get yourself prepared and ready for your final exams. Thank you and have a nice day.
Prudent Scholars, powered by Lupin Pharmaceuticals.